Hi, this is a short follow-up to my JRPG translation tool showing you how to set it up, including the new Launchbox integration plugin. If you don't know yet, its main purpose is to capture Japanese text from a game through screenshots. It sends them to an AI model for translation and displays the results in a configurable overlay. Optionally, you can get a Japanese transcript along with the translation with kanji readings, get a detailed analysis of the sentences with key vocabulary, and live translations of spoken dialogues during cutscenes. As I always say, this is something I made for me personally, since so far no other tool gave me this mix of translation and optional features for studying, and the seamless integration into an emulator using a plugin. So if you're interested, you can download it from GitHub or the Launchbox website. Links I will add to the description. And once you've downloaded it, you can just after extraction already use it. It's a portable application. I would recommend, if you want to use it together with Launchbox or BigBox as I do, in the Launchbox folder, just create a subfolder called apps. Here I keep this and another tool, and then just drag and drop it over there, and so that you have the folder structure Launchbox, apps, and JRPG Translator. Because this way the plugin will automatically find it, but you can still put it somewhere else and then just tell the plugin where it is. The plugin here is in a subfolder, and you can just extract it, or here from your archiver, put it into the plugins folder here, so Launchbox plugins, and then here it is. And basically, you could just drag and drop it then like this. And that's basically it to do the basic setups. Before using it through the plugin, I would recommend to at least open it once before and do some basic setup. So once you've opened the main window, you should first go to the API keys tab. Here you can enter your API keys. Since the tool uses OpenAI models or Gemini models, you need an API key at least for one of them. I would recommend just getting one for both. And you can enter them here for convenience directly into the tool. I would recommend entering them directly into Windows, because this way they are stored more securely. If you enter them here directly, as I mentioned here, they are saved as plain text into a file, which might be not secure, especially maybe if your computer gets compromised. The window where you can enter the keys into Windows is a little bit hidden. So I added a button here that opens it directly. And as you can see, I already have them here. You need to enter as a variable Gemini _API _key for the Gemini key, or OpenAI _API _key for the OpenAI key, by just clicking here new, entering this, and OK. If you do a new entry, I already have them here. And then confirm with OK. Restart the tool, and the keys should work. One thing I didn't know yet, if you don't have an API key yet, you can get a free one now from Google. Just with your Google account, go to aistudio.google.com, and if you then go down here to this Get API Key button, just click it, and then API key for you under the free tier should already be available. And you can just click here to copy it and then enter it into Windows or the translation tool, and you're ready to go. It's limited, of course. As far as I could find out, Google says it's 1,500 requests per day, which sounds like a lot, but if you play a text-heavy JRPG or a visual novel, it probably will not last the whole day. And I did test it. It also works with audio translation. Probably not enough for a whole movie or watching a complete anime episode, but it seems to be at least enough for these short audio sequences that I was targeting when integrating this. Like if you remember EAS 1 and 2 on the PC Engine, they have here and there always then some spoken dialogues with no subtitles. So for this, it should actually be enough. So after setting up your API keys, the next thing I would recommend configuring or having a look at are the controls. All functions can be mapped to hotkeys or directly to controller inputs. I mean, controller inputs is quite straightforward. You can assign every function to a controller button. For most people, maybe a screenshot plus translation in one go will be enough. Maybe then turning on audio on and off. But you can also recapture the region where the screenshot should be taken, and so on. I personally use the keyboard shortcuts, not because I play the games with a keyboard, but these then I map to my controller using JoyToKey. The good thing is that this way I can map multiple functions to one key. For example, here the left shoulder button has Control and mapped to it for a single press, and Control F12 when I hold the button a little longer. What these functions do is ask for explanation, also explain the last translation. This is this detailed analysis of the last Japanese text that was translated, with grammar explanations and then a list of key vocabulary, which in my case I also automatically here save as a text file to make flashcards later. But I don't need the explainer overlay window then all the time. Actually, it then covers the big portion of the screen when I call it forward. But this way, with a single tap, I can request an explanation. And if I hold the button for just a little bit longer, then I can bring the explainer overlay forward. And with another long press, I can just hide it again. So this is very convenient if while playing, I come across a Japanese sentence that I feel needs a little bit more explanation, and maybe after playing I want a text file of the sentence for making a flashcard, then I can just, then I don't need two buttons, one button on the controller for asking for an explanation and another button for showing hiding it. So for this year, JoyToKey is very good, and I would recommend then maybe here making profiles for each game, because as I will show you later with the plugin, you can automatically then launch the profile here you want. Also, maybe useful before playing a game is entering here some terminology overrides, or you can do this while playing if you come across some inconsistencies there. For example, the word for chancellor can also mean prime minister, and if you want to have this consistent, that a character doesn't switch back and forth between being one of these, you can make rules here. Or if names, for example, names in katakana, they can often be translated or interpreted differently by the models. For example, Estelle Bright from the Trail series, maybe the name sometimes comes back as Esoteru, so I can enter here a rule when the model sends Esoteru back. change it back to Estelle on the fly. No? So you can just add a rule here. For example, maybe you want to play Zelda in Japanese and you don't want that Link sometimes is then translated as Linku, which is actually then the pronunciation in Japanese. You can enter such a rule here and then you're good to go. So here then target language to target language. Here you can enter entries directly in Japanese. These are sent to the models directly. They don't happen locally. And of course here then it depends on how reliable the model is. If you use the very cheap models, these light or nano models, they might struggle with this. But here then you can set rules directly at the source. After setting up your API keys, the controls and terminology overrides, if you want to use them, I would just go through the tabs here and see if anything needs changing. If you have just one API key, of course, you might want to select the correct provider and then here the correct model. These days for translation, I mostly use the latest Flashlight model all the time. These are these are really pretty impressive, especially if I compare it maybe to half a year ago when I started this. They translate pretty quickly and by now also do different things like tagging words if you want to have the guest subjects be highlighted for less confusion, or maybe have the speaker names shown in a different color at the top, maybe that it looks a little bit more like in the game. These things usually worked only reliable in the past with the higher models, which on the other hand then took a little longer to translate. But right now this works with this year pretty well, so it's really a nice experience that you don't have to waste extra time if you want to use little things like this. You can add models. I would just choose here the online catalog. Here you then can always see which models are available that you have not yet in the drop-down menu. Then the prompt is very important, of course, and there are two groups. If you choose one here with kanji reading, then you get also this transcript with hiragana readings added to kanji. Useful if you study Japanese in different languages. And if you say, no, I don't need this, I just want the translation, then pick your language then here at the top and without the kanji reading. But I these days like playing games then here with the kanji readings. I think that's pretty much it here on this one. Yeah, capture region here you can then, this pretty much works like window snipping tool. Then you can select a window the screenshot should be taken, or what I would recommend is select a capture region, especially if you play a game where the speech boxes are always fixed at the same location. Yeah, also then something that is saved in the profiles, so you can do this per game and don't need to do this every time again if you play, if you switch between 2 or 3 games. Audio translation, yeah, pretty straightforward. So, select the listen device, provider, and the model. Right now, OpenAI and Gemini, they have both one model for this. As you can see, a preview. Not sure when it was released, but before I had here something different. But this year is right now, I think, really then the best solution. It's pretty fast. I think just a delay maybe of 1 or 2 seconds. So if you think that it records audio locally, it is sent then online to Gemini to get the translation back, I think yeah, pretty impressive. And yeah, here you can also then choose the language in which you get the translation back from the model. Translation window, here you can change the design of the translation overlay, give it transparency if you want, choose a color, text color, then here the color for the speaker name if you use this feature. a font, like using here these pixel fonts, so it looks a little bit like retro fonts from older games, and the font size. And what I would do is the same with the capture region. You can create here a design and save this as a profile. So what I would do is, for every game you play, create a design that makes the translation window fit nicer into the game. No? So if you play a game maybe with which has a blue speech box with white text, no? Like many older JRPGs, try to mimic it so that it just feels nicer and maybe almost like it's a part of the game. And you can do this per game, save it as a profile, and every time you launch a game, then the translation window will have the design you saved here before. And here explanation, as I mentioned, you can bring back and forth, hide and unhide translation and an explanation window if you want, where if you use the hotkey, the latest translated Japanese text then gets a breakdown. So you get a grammar explanation, a list of vocabularies, and you can choose a model here for this too. For this I would usually then select one of the higher models. Now, so not a flashlight, so maybe then here the latest one, Gemini 3.6 Flash, because these take a little longer, and you ask the model then here a little bit more to do, and you definitely want here then a good quality of the output, that there are not any mistakes in there, or that it only lists half of the vocabularies because you choose a too fast model, or that it explains only half of the grammar. So I guess that's pretty much it about the main window and the explanation, or one little thing maybe. The Anki app is something that might be useful to some of you, just as a little tip. It's a flashcard app that syncs to companion apps then on smartphones. What I usually do after playing 1 or 2 hours a Japanese game and asking for some of these explanations, they can be saved as text files here. As I mentioned, I have one here open. That's what they look, no? Or you can of course change it in the prompt, whatever you want. I ask you for showing the original line again, then the list of vocabularies, explain the grammar, some nuance and culture, and then of course the translations and some key takeaways. And then I take some words or the whole sentence or something from it and make a few flashcards. And then after using the flashcards, studying this, then maybe I replay the area. No? Maybe then I save before I enter a town and make a save state there and talk to the characters again. So, but probably nothing new to people who study this way. So let's close it then for now, and I can give you a little demo about the plugin here in Launchbox or Bigbox. And no, that's not advertisement for them. This is just my dedicated mini PC to this, which I use like an ultimate Super NES Mini this way. So, but launch it manually now this time. Okay, there we are. One game I want to play after I finish Lunar the Silver Star here is Legend of Heroes 3 for the NEC PC 98. So if I push here now up to jump to the end of the menu, or you do a right click in Launchbox, then here you have the entry for the translation tool, and you can choose per game that you want to launch the translation tool with the game. Here you can select then profiles you generated. One here now for this game, the other one for Lunar, so that the capture area where it takes screenshots or the design of the overlay then fits the game, and you can launch JoyToKey with the game with the correct button configurations. So then let's launch the game. You see on the right now the translation window is there. Yeah, with the dedicated color here for this game, as you see, it fits more or less nicely, at least better than if it would be totally black or blue. Then let's talk to this guy and ask for a translation. And there we are, in my case here with the transcripts and the hiragana readings of kanji. And if you look at the top left now, it says now generating an explanation with the other button. These always take a little longer, and of course you shouldn't ask for an explanation every time if you want to make some progress in the game. But if you come across a sentence that's a little tricky, this might be useful. So now I hold the button a little longer, and as I said, you can hide and unhide things with the same button. Scroll up and down here now, read through the explanation if you want. And it's saved as a text file, as I mentioned. So that's it here in this game. And yeah, one other little hint maybe I can give you in RetroArch. If you go to video and scaling, you can move then here the game area of the screen left and right. Usually it's centered, but I like for these games moving them to the left if I use it with the translation tool, so that, as you can see now on the right, I have more space than for the translation window, especially useful if you want to cover less area of the game's real estate, and you use it like me then together with these transcripts and kanji readings. So this just by the way. Maybe then let's get out of this game and I can show you one more game that here in Lunar the Silver Star, they have also audio clips. So as you can see here, different profiles, otherwise the same. And you see on the right now the translation window, but with a different color. So let's load the save state. So I'm not recording audio from the game, but there is now some spoken dialogue. So I just want to show you the audio translation. So let's skip this quickly. So now just let's turn on audio translation. You will see a notification in the upper left of the screen.
アレスとこんな風に別れるなんて考えもしなかった。約束よ、必ず帰ってきて。私待ってるから。
Yeah, and so on. So for this game, they have text luckily there, so the screenshot translation would actually be enough. But there are especially many older PC Engine games. If you remember Ys 1 and 2, also in the English version, they had here and there some spoken dialogues with no subtitles. So there, this I think should be useful. So I think that's all I wanted to show you. Hope it was interesting for you and might be useful for some of you. And yeah, if you have any questions, then just write in the comments or on GitHub. And yeah, otherwise, have a nice day.